From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big day at noontime with exciting details about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. With your $3.5 trillion recon passed on Saturday. In this recording, we'll go over the latest details about cluster number one's checks passed, including hazard pay. Cluster number two's checks passed, including checks for seniors. And cluster number three's checks passed, including checks for your home and up to $4,000 to care for seniors. But then we'll be cutting to the dramatics as a deal is hatched, as I told you last night, to do the debt ceiling. They resolved that and it passed in the Senate minutes ago. So the debt ceiling is done for purposes of channel for about 2 weeks. Then what about the vote on the infrastructure? The vote on the infrastructure has not yet happened at the time of this live broadcast direct from Santa Monica, but minutes ago, Danny Kean was asked about it and he thinks it's gonna fail. Oh boy. And then we all like a little dramatics, don't we? I think we all like a little dramatics. You haven't seen dramatics on this channel, I think, ever like this. A scandal letter. A scandal letter with someone calling Chuck Schumer a liar and Chuck Schumer saying, "You're a liar." You're not going to hear this anywhere on the net. It was only on one print website, and you haven't heard it because it happened minutes ago. A scandal letter. I love some scandal. And it's deliciousness because guess what? Chuck Schumer's office also told Donnie's wife yesterday, "You're getting an IRS stimulus check." Wow, it's like you've never seen a video like this one. It's happening right now, and it's noontime. Hey, good noontime, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day across the globe. You know, it's days like this that I just can't imagine what's going on. So much happening. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, we'll be going over the reconciliation budget bill passed on a Saturday night. 3 clusters of checks covered on this channel got in there. All the clusters covered. The checks for seniors, checks for workers, and also checks for the home, cars, your repairs, and also for college students. Then we go to the exciting details as Chuck Schumer's office tells Donnie's wife yesterday that he is, in fact, inserting a monthly IRS stimulus check. This is after 1,000 viewers of this channel been told the same, and actually been told this week as well. Consistent with Pelosi's statement and the president's statement on Saturday that we're still adding things in there. Ron Wyden says he wants to add in their extension of unemployment benefits. I have the latest details about the IRS stimulus check at noontime. Then we cut to the debt ceiling limit. Done for now because they passed it on the Senate minutes ago. The vote passed. I told you they had a deal last night, so we don't have a debt ceiling limit issue for a couple more weeks. A stopgap, a temporary fix to the situation. Then the infrastructure. The dramatics like you've never seen with the moderate Democrats vowing for the infrastructure, going for a vote today. But is it going for a vote or is it going to be killed for a vote and taken off calendar at the 11th hour by Nancy Pelosi? This is new at noontime. You haven't heard this yet. Then Steny Hoyer, the number 2 guy in the House, saying he doesn't know if it's going to pass. Oh boy. And then the president of the progressives protecting your recon because they don't want that roads and bridges to pass. And if it doesn't, it's a big win for your recon. And then we all like a little bit of scandal because the soap operas haven't been that exciting lately. Here it is, the letter of scandals like you've never seen before, signed by Chuck Schumer. And someone calling Chuck Schumer a liar today, and Chuck Schumer's office firing back. Oh boy, who is it? I have an incredible scandal letter later in this video. It's like you've never seen a scandal before. And it's all happening, and so I want you to subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record for a reason. If I had one of those cameras like on the cooking channels where the camera's down on the table, You would literally see me. I have 30 updates since noontime, since morning. I have 20 updates over here since last night. And then I have the stuff that coming in on this side, like the scandal letter. I have so much breaking news by the hour, on the hour, because it's a very quick turning news cycle. And then this recording is going to look totally different than the one before this morning's LALATE. So subscribe, like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right to the details. First, let's go over that RECON passing in the House Budget Subcommittee on a Saturday night. Last Saturday night, the House Budget Committee passed your $3.5 trillion RECON. Immediately on Sunday morning, I delivered the live details on camera. No one in broadcast media, print media, other YouTube channels even acknowledged the event occurred. That's the details I go into in this channel. Let's go over all the clusters of checks that passed. The first one, a lot. It's important to remember that the RECON is for everyone, seniors, workers, individuals, and is not COVID related. What are these first clusters of checks? Here we go. Hazard pay, up to $4,000 for children, up to $4,000 for caring for seniors, $51,000 of MSC, checks for the home, checks for grants, and cars, trucks, and bike money as well. Let's start with each of them. Hazard pay got in there, lifetime. They're going to make a modification to the Earned Income Tax Code, an old tax code, to broaden the eligibility so more essential workers qualify for it and increase the amount of money. So you can get this every year that you qualify. This is a big win for this channel after advocating for this hazard pay inclusion lifetime. Over 300 videos in 2020. Then, a great provision, up to $4,000 a year to care for an elderly person at home. This is huge. And on the other side, they're doing it also if you have to care for a young child. That's per year. Wonderful. Then college students are getting money. A grant directly to them, some to the university, and making the Pell Grant tax-free. What about the home? They got money in there as well. In the first cluster, they have money to repair the home if the home is in a low-income community. Wow. Then they got $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks, MSCs, in there. The CTC, the child tax credit, making a lifetime, and broadening the eligibility so that non-biological parents can also get the money. How much does it pay? Up to $300 every month, every year, for up to 18 years per child that you're eligible, and that's $51,000. Then they got money in there for bikes, cars, and trucks, all electric, all from U.S. auto manufacturers. First, up to 15% for the purchase of a new electric bike. Then up to $7,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle, personal use, a little bit more for business use, and then a little more if it's a truck for business use. Wow. In a second, we're going to go over the second cluster checks they got in there, up to $1,700 a week for you. Third cluster checks, including checks for seniors and also workers. But first, let's take a detour for just a second. That detour is the incredible news that Treasury sent out the final $13 billion for rent, utilities, and food and internet to millions of Americans last week in advance of concerns that there would be a government shutdown. No longer the case. The government shutdown's not happening. They passed that government shutdown bill on the Senate minutes ago after morning's LALATE, before this broadcast, and it'll be done in the House about an hour from now. The Treasury statement says Treasury is happy to provide state and local governments with these additional resources to help Americans in time of rental assistance. I'll go over how you get this money later in this video. Let's cut to some more checks. Cluster number 2's checks got in there. And they are deliciousness because they pay a lot. $1,700 a week? Yeah, one of them. Let's go over the first one. Paid family leave and paid medical leave. Paid family leave, you have to stay at home because your wife is pregnant. Paid medical leave, you have to stay at home because your son broke his leg. How much is it? $70,000 or more per year. Under third stimulus, it was $1,700 a week, split in half. If you make $35,000 a year, you would get $800 a week, split in half. $400 a week if you made $15,000 or more per year. Paid from the federal government to the employer, who then pays it to you. Cluster number 2's checks are absolutely incredible because there are so many items in there. They include child care programs checks, then household tax credit checks, then more checks for seniors like dental, vision, hearing, and reducing the age for Medicare. More about that in the third cluster. And then checks for weatherizing your home. Definitely needed if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. And if your house is the House of Representatives. Yeah. And then they got pre-kindergarten free checks and then free community college across the country. Definitely needed if you want to be fluent in that new foreign language. The new foreign language, it's called Los Angeles. You know, they just talk really funny out there. I don't understand what LA's saying. They just say kale salad in every sentence. Now you can be fluent in Los Angeles with that free community college. Wow. In a second, we're going to go to the third cluster. But what is Congress doing? Here's what Congress is doing right now. Minutes ago, the Senate floor approved the stopgap temporary funding for the debt ceiling limit. The debt ceiling limit deal hatched last night. As recorded first on Evenings LALATE, I told you they were going to do it. They were near finish. They got it done. Senate approved it minutes ago. It's to the House within probably an hour. It will be approved in the House. The debt ceiling limit, done. That's done. But it is going to be a topic of discussion in a few weeks because they got to come back and do it again. All right, number two, the infrastructure, the roads and bridges, or bipartisan. The vote is slated for today. In the month of July, Nancy Pelosi made a deal with who are called the moderate Democrats, also called the Goth Gang, Representative Gothenheimer from New Jersey. He urged for a vote on this day, and he got that agreement back in July. Nancy Pelosi yesterday and this morning said she'll keep her promise to call for a vote. Now, there is a news article out minutes ago, since Mornings LALATE, that says maybe Pelosi will not call for a vote if she thinks it's going to fail. She gave a quote minutes ago. This is since Mornings LALATE, and Steny Hoyer, the number 2 Democrat in the House, also gave a quote. Steny Hoyer is the guy that's sort of in charge of operational issues, by the way. Nancy Pelosi said, "We're very optimistic." That's how she said it. I want to be very clear. That's what the quote is. She didn't say it was going to pass. She didn't say it was going to be voted on. She said, "We're just very optimistic." What did Steny Hoyer say? When asked, "Do you have enough votes?" He says, "No." No. What does this mean for your recon? It means nothing for your recon if the roads and bridges passes. It's not bad for your recon if the roads and bridges passes. Is it good for your recon if the roads and bridges fails? It's really good. I'll explain to you why, and I'll explain to you why the moderate Democrats have literally angered everyone from Pelosi, the president, Jalopal, and Chuck Schumer in the last 4 hours. It's all happening in noon time. But first, let's cut to those third checks. And, also coming up later, that scandal letter. Oh, boy, it takes my breath away every time I say it. It's a scandal letter like I've never seen. And you got to see the wind up to it as well. In the third cluster of checks are the incredible details of big checks for seniors and workers. Third cluster checks, also called the President's Cluster, are free school meals for all checks. Then cheaper prescription medication checks, then checks for farmers, checks for elections, then checks for seniors, like lowering the eligibility age for Medicare, checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing care, then checks for workers like independent contractors. Two of the checks in the second cluster, in this last cluster, are really good. The president loves them. I adore them because they're automatic savings to you. Number one, cheaper prescription medication. So let's say you go to the pharmacy today to fill a prescription, you take two $20 bills out of your wallet. Then this becomes law. Then the next time you go, you may only have to take out one $20 bill in your wallet. The other one stays in the wallet. Instant savings to you. Then number two, they're going to slash your costs for internet by giving it to you for free. Yes, federal government is going to force the cities, counties, and states that they can offer free internet companies to you. And all you have to do is say, "Hi, what's the username and password?" The username is Goth Gang Go Away. And the password is Jalopal 2029. There you go. We'll have more about this exciting details. But first, let's cut to your fourth stimulus, IRS stimulus MSC check. Well, the great news is that all this week, we've gotten reconfirmation from the same 12 House and Senate Democrats who have told 1,000 viewers over the last 8 weeks that there is a monthly IRS stimulus check going in there. In the last 24 hours, Donnie, you met Donnie, Donnie's wife called Schumer's office and advocated for an IRS stimulus check, and Chuck Schumer, the majority leader in the Senate, his office confirmed to Donnie's wife there will be the inclusion of a stimulus check. This week, we've also gotten confirmations from Pelosi, AOC, and Jalopal, and Bernie Sanders' office as well. It's important to understand that what was passed on a Saturday night in the subcommittee of the House, a budget $3.5 trillion recon, is not a closed book. In fact, Pelosi and the president Saturday night made that emphatically clear. It's sort of like the prop that I show on camera, which is sort of like an envelope. It's an envelope with the word bill on it. If you want to put more stuff in there, you can put more stuff in there, is what Pelosi said Saturday night. She said that on Tuesday and Wednesday. Ironically, it's Pelosi's office that told half a dozen viewers, several dozens of viewers this channel, going into the weekend and since the weekend, that she'll be adding that provision in there. What's important to understand is that even all these Democrat senators and House members before Saturday and after Saturday have all used the same verb tense, future, verb tense. Will be, going to, is adding, amending, which is exactly what the president and Pelosi have said. You want to add stuff in there? Tell me what you want to add in there and add it in there. Two ways to add stuff in there, on the House side or on the Senate side. Guess who also talked about adding stuff in there? Ron Wyden. He wants to add in there extension of unemployment benefits, but he's on the Senate side. So he has two options. He can either have the House Democrats do it for him, or he can add it during the two-day vote-a-rama on the Senate side. Same thing with Bernie's office. That confirms the viewers of this channel as well this week. The inclusion of an IRS stimulus check, either on the Senate side or on the House side. I'll go over more about what's going on with that IRS stimulus check in the second half of this video. I'll be going over the scandal letter as Chuck Schumer goes on a massive war of words minutes ago. You've never seen this letter anywhere else. It's not anywhere on broadcast media. It was debuted exclusively on one website minutes ago. I have all the excitement of this letter. I'll be going over what the moderate Democrats are going to go over, and I'm going to go over that infrastructure bill vote within the next hour or so. It's all coming up, and it's right after this commercial break. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as the excitement heats up on New Time. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues live from Santa Monica at noontime, as some viewers are asking in the live chat, when for the RECON. Absolutely. That is what's going on right now, as progressives in the House are protecting your RECON so that it is going up and not going the other direction. They're also trying to vote down the roads and bridges to protect your RECON, and those dramatics are heating up right now. I'll go over the meetings that happened in the last few minutes between Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, the president, and the ones that happened last night with the president and also AOC, President Pelosi, and also Chuck Schumer. I'll be going over what the moderate Democrats did and didn't do, and then we'll be cutting to the scandal letter of the day. Oh boy, and it's about your RECON. It's a huge day, it's a huge noontime, and you're gonna see details you've never seen before, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record for a reason. I have changes on the hour by the hour. Afternoons L8, the Throwback Show comes up at 1 o'clock. This video will take you there. Then the 3 o'clock show is totally new, but the 5 o'clock show, Evenings L8 tonight, will likely be recorded after the vote of the roads and bridges. Wow, if it happens. But will it be happening? I'll explain the details coming up in a second. But first, subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. The dramatics that are unfolding right now started several days ago, and those dramatics concern the following. What happened was the president called into a meeting 2 days ago, moderate Democrats, who are moderate Democrats, like the Goth Gang, and said, what do you think about the RECON? Excuse me, I don't hear yet. What do you think about the RECON? Can I get an answer? I'm not hearing from you what you want to do with the RECON. Well, they said also, I want my roads and bridges called for a vote. In the month of July, the Goth Gang on the House got an agreement to have the roads and bridges called for a vote today. Now, what did the Goth Gang and the moderate Democrats do in the last few hours, yesterday and the day before, that has really gotten them in deep water. Let me show you what they've done. Number one, late yesterday, Gothenheimer himself slammed the progressives, the entire progressive wing of the Democrat Party, saying that they're sort of a fringe group. There's not a lot of them. Number two, the Goth gang said that when looking at the roads and bridges, it needs to be called for a vote right now. And finally, when talking about the debt ceiling limit, they didn't keep their promise. What did Pelosi say yesterday? Number one, Pelosi went out after the moderate Democrats by saying, how dare you not keep a deal with me after just 1 week about the debt ceiling limit? You just don't keep promises about anything. I'm keeping my promise to call your vote for your roads and bridges. You're not keeping the promise about anything. And what did Pelosi say? It's only been 2 weeks. And if you're worried how it looks in a billboard advertisement, it's already in the billboard for advertisement. Elizabeth Warren minutes ago saying, you know what? We had a deal that we would have 2 bills passed in the House. You need to keep your promise. They pissed off Elizabeth Warren. Then they also got the president upset. So much so that reports early this morning said that the president is tipping his hat to the progressives for your recon. Why? The progressives reportedly are getting the unofficial seal of approval from the president to vote down the roads and bridges in the House today, because the president believes that'll step up the pressure on the moderate Democrats. The president's also unhappy with the moderate Democrats because every time he asks them about roads and bridges, about the recon, they don't answer. And what happened minutes ago? One of the moderates published an article talking about why the recon is not particularly in their best interest. That caused Jalapal, the progressives, to say, you know what, if we didn't have 60 votes to kill your roads and bridges today, we definitely have it now. Meantime, minutes ago, after the Morning's LA broadcast, there were two series of interviews. One where Pelosi was questioned about the infrastructure vote. Another where Steny Hoyer was asked about the infrastructure vote. Steny Hoyer's comment, he's the number 2 guy, Democrat in the House. He said, I don't think we have enough votes. Pelosi gave sort of a very flowing, vague sentence, which was, I think we need to think positive. I think we're progressing. So what is the news article saying at the very moment, at the time of this broadcast, just before 12 noon Pacific Standard Time? 1, they're not particularly sure that Pelosi will call the vote on the roads and bridges. They think you may not know it to the very 11th hour. If when they go around, they ask the people that are about to vote, are you going to say yes or no? If she thinks it looks like a no, she may not call for a vote. Interesting. I don't know if I agree with it. I think she will call for a vote to have it go down flames. Number 2, the progressives are a large fraction, a large part of the House. The Goth gang thinks there's a few of them. No, that there's very few of them. No, there's a lot of them. And the House is only led by 3 Democrats. 60 progressives, as of yesterday, said that they're going to vote against the roads and bridges to protect your recon. But now, after that article surfaced this morning with one of the moderates really going after the recon, the progressives said, oh, we're going to get a lot more people than just 60 to vote down the recon. Meantime, it's important to understand that all these parts of congressional leadership are protecting your money and protecting your recon for the first time we've ever really seen well on this channel in the last 2 weeks. The president telling the progressives, do what you got to do to protect the recon. And if you want to vote it down, the recon, you can go vote it down. That was basically the phrasing or the terminology the press secretary said late yesterday. Number 2, the leadership on the Senate, Chuck Schumer, saying, you know what, we got to pass both bodies of legislation, and you have to pass the recon. The progressives in the Senate, Liz Warren, slamming the moderates, saying, you know what, you made a deal to pass 2 bodies of legislation, not just yours, and saying, progressives, go do your thing, meaning vote it down, the roads and bridges. Number 3, Bernie Sanders saying a comment that the roads and bridges are important, but they're not important to be done today. They can be done next week or the week after. They are not important for right to now. And Bernie Sanders telling the progressives to vote down the recon. And then, of course, all the House progressives, whether it's Jalapal, AOC, or Omar, coming out and saying, we're ready to vote it down. And if there's one person who thinks it's going to be voted down and would know, it's of course Steny Hoyer, the guy who runs the operations of the House as the leading Democrat majority leader. He thinks it's not going to pass. What does this mean for you? It means the following. One, if the roads and bridges passes, it doesn't hurt you. If the roads and bridges doesn't pass and goes down in a sea of flames because 60 progressives stepped forward and said, your recon is more important, that is wonderful, wonderful news, because it shows that three bodies of the government, the presidency, the House, and the Senate, all stepped forward and said, your money, the recon, is the most important. And with that, let's go into the IRS monthly stimulus checks starting right now. It was 8 weeks ago I told viewers of the importance to advocate for the inclusion of an IRS stimulus check. And the great news is that of those people that the viewership of this channel called to, they have now reconfirmed their allegiance to add it in there. It started 8 weeks ago when I said pick up the phone and call and advocate. And WR did. He called Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware. And Coons' office said, yes, I will be inserting a monthly stimulus check provision in there. But then 3 weeks ago, this channel started to really pick up as I started to deliver a lot more exclusives, a lot more breaking news about all the nuances. And at the time, I told you that the House would be writing the recon. They are. I told you that the House would vote first on the recon. They are. I told you that the Senate would vote last and have the opportunity to do an amendment. They are. I also told you Bernie Sanders is important to the equation. Bernie Sanders is chairman of the Budget Committee on the Senate because we got a House and we have a Senate Budget Committee. And Bernie Sanders is the guy who got you the $3.5 trillion price tag. He got it through an agreement with the Senate Democrats, all of them, for a recon procedure. Remember? That 3 weeks ago, Bernie Sanders said a pivotal quote. He said, unlike prior budget chairmen, I like to get out amongst the people when I'm writing a recon. That means he wants to hear from you. And with that, you know exactly what happened. I told viewers to pick up the phone and advocate to Bernie Sanders. Lynn Glenn did, Brother Joshua did, and Margaret did. And Sanders' office telling the advocates from this channel, there will be a stimulus check provision in there. Let's look at some screen grabs from the live chats of the show and also from private messages on social media of what advocacy looks like for viewers across the board. They came in from viewers like Margaret, who picked up the phone and absolutely broke down in tears when calling in to advocate for a stimulus check. This is what Margaret wrote. Honestly, I am the woman on the phone from the Senate, and I started crying when I explained everything I've gone through. Another viewer saying, I called up, I said, I lost my husband, I've had 10 surgeries, and I'm raising 2 teenage daughters, and SSNDI is not enough. That's the face of advocacy, and that's what viewers of this channel have done. And it started also with Brother Joshua. Picked up the phone and called Bernie Sanders' office. Advocated for yourself, for this community, for his family, and for his church. Brother Joshua is a 2020 volunteer to the community page. And Sanders' office saying, yes, I'm inserting a monthly stimulus check provision, $1,000 to $1,400, 3 to 6 months. Sanders' office confirming that to viewers of this channel this week also. Now, what happened after that? I said, pick up the phone and continue to advocate because Sanders' office said, I want to hear from you and make sure you support me on this. And viewers did. Like Donnie. Yeah, you met Donnie's wife minutes ago early in this video. Well, Donnie was one of the first that got the ball rolling. Here's what Donnie wrote. I called Sanders' office, and the secretary said they're doing a forced stimulus check. Donnie wrote, this is why I need it. This is why our city needs it. I need it. I need it to progress for my water and everything. And she said, yes, they're doing a forced stimulus check. Hurricane Tina, who's been with me since the very start of this channel, she writes, I called Sanders' office, and they said they're doing a forced stimulus check in there. Carolyn wrote, Sanders' office said they're going to be talk to us. And I talked to the secretary, told her what I need, people losing their homes, and she said Bernie is putting a forced stimulus check in there. And Yaya wrote, I called Ron Wyden's office, and they want to put SS200 in there as well. Advocacy takes many faces, but it took a very different face when we learned from Will about calling up not one, but 3 offices in one day. He called up Bernie's office, which confirmed the same thing this week. He called up Chuck Schumer's office, which confirmed it to Donnie's wife yesterday. And he called Liz Warren's office. And all of the secretaries confirmed the inclusion. As to Senator Warren's office, they said Senator Warren is doing $1,400 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months, he writes. Will. Lorica writes, Bob Casey said they're putting in stimulus check, and yes, they're in negotiations now for the amount of the stimulus checks. By that point, 1,000 viewers of this channel have been confirmed by nearly a half a dozen senators of the inclusion of a monthly stimulus check after they advocated for it. Coons' office, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, and Wyden all telling viewers of this channel after they advocate for the inclusion of the stimulus check, it's going in there. Then I said pick up the phone and call over to the House members, AOC, Jalapal, Omar, and Pelosi, and viewers did. Paul calling over to AOC's office, their office, telling Paul, she assured me they're adding it to the bill, Paul writes. Then Janice writes, I called Jalapal's office. They did say they're doing a forced stimulus check. The comments continue to come in as more people called, like Mark. He met $51,000 Mark on this channel. He called and the staffer from Pelosi told me they would be putting a forced stimulus check in there, $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. And the comments continue to come in by the hour, continuing thereafter. Viewer after viewer making the phone call and getting those confirmations. What's great news is that this is all consistent. What is consistent here is not only the statements before the passage on Saturday, but the statements after the passage on the Saturday. All concerning the same thing. They will be including it. $1,000 a month after the first month, $2,000, 6 months. All the senators, all the House members using a forward tense verb will be, is going to amend. This is what what Pelosi said to do. This is what the president said to do. The $3.5 trillion recon passed on Saturday, not a bill, more like an envelope that you can add things into. And Pelosi said, you want to add stuff in there? Add it in there. Tell me what you want to add in there. And as Pelosi's office told Mark, she's adding it in there as well. So, dramatics heating up like you've never seen minutes ago. Let's go over the dramatics right now so you understand what is happening. The dramatics concern a great thing, and I want to go over what the great thing is. The president, Pelosi, Schumer, and also the progressives, House and Senate, protecting your recon and your money. Against who? The moderate Democrats, House and Senate, who are only focused at the moment on roads and bridges. The roads and bridges vote today. If it passes, fine, no big deal. If it doesn't pass, big win for the recon. The president is unhappy that the moderate Democrats would not tell him what their position is on the recon, your money. Pelosi is unhappy with the moderate Democrats because they tried to play games with her yesterday, not keeping their promise about the debt ceiling limit. Liz Warren is furious at the moderates because they're not keeping their promise to pass both the recon and the roads and bridges. Bernie Sanders is furious at the moderates. And the progressives, all 60 of them, are upset that they have been called a fringe group. They have been the subject of sort of this press campaign in the last 48 hours of moderates calling progressives really not particularly good words. And guess what happened minutes ago? Oh boy. Are you ready for some scandal? Has your soap opera not been exciting enough lately? Well, guess what? In a major shocker, here comes the first time on any broadcast channel, this scandal letter. Here. This scandal letter, unearthed and released by the website Politico minutes ago, but for showing you for the first time on any broadcast channel now right here, is written by, or is written on typed on a typewriter and dated July 28th, 2021. What is this letter? Who released it? What did the guy say about the letter? What is the reaction to the letter? The letter is signed at the bottom. The document is signed at the bottom, but with two names. Can you see the names? On one side is signed Charles Schumer. On the other side, it's signed Joe Manchin III. The letter was released minutes ago because in the last 48 hours, the president has said the moderate Democrats won't tell me what they want for the recon. The Pelosi, Schumer, AOC, all the people are saying the moderate Democrats won't say what they want for the recon. So what did Joe Manchin do minutes ago? He released this and said, I told you in July what I wanted, and here it is right here. And you agreed you're doing it. he basically tried to tell the American people, Joe Manchin, that Chuck Schumer agreed to a $1.5 trillion recon on July 28th, 2021, and has been dishonest to you since July and telling you you're getting $3.5 trillion. Chuck Schumer went through the roof saying, "How dare you, Joe Manchin? I never said that. That's not even what the document says. The document says what you want, Joe Manchin. I never agreed to this freaking document." And here's the official statement from Chuck Schumer slamming Joe Manchin and his fake narrative minutes ago. Leader Schumer never agreed to any of the conditions that Senator Manchin laid out. He merely acknowledged that Senator Manchin was on the subject at the time. Senator Manchin did not rule out that he would vote for a recon that goes higher than $1.5 trillion. Oh boy. That exceeded the ideas he outlined in the letter. And Leader Schumer made clear that he would work to convince Senator Manchin to support a recon that goes bigger and bolder. Let's understand what's going on here. After days and days of the moderate and the progressive Democrats going back and forth, suddenly one of the moderate Democrats came out and tried to say that Chuck Schumer agreed to a 1.5 teeny-weeny recon when he never did. Chuck Schumer never agreed to a $1.5 trillion recon. He agreed to a 3.5. That's what's been passed. He tried to use this signature at the bottom to say Chuck Schumer agreed to something very small. He never agreed to it. Then he tried to make it sound like the moderate Democrats agreed to 1.5. They never agreed to it either. They said at the time that's what they were thinking about, but they'll consider something even more. The war of words has really taken another level. What does this mean for you? It means that these moderate Democrats really feel like they're being charred and feathered in the press. And they are. They are. They're being tarred and feathered by the progressives, and it's just wonderful because the progressives are protecting your recon. And the minute that the progressives really tried to protect your recon and someone tried to come after it saying, you know what, I thought it was supposed to, you had an agreement that was supposed to be less. You never made that agreement. Don't you dare say that. Wow. There you go. What is my prediction what's going to happen later today? It's hard to say. Nancy Pelosi has kept her promise, which was to call the vote on the roads and bridges. And I think the roads and bridges vote will be called. I do believe that that the progressives have their count right. Remember, the Democrats lead the House by 3 people. You have a margin of error of 3 people. The progressives said they have 60 people voting against the roads and bridges this afternoon, if it does happen. And after someone else published among the moderate Democrats a letter last night, a different letter, Jalopal said, you know, after that letter, we have a lot more than 60 people voting against the roads and bridges today. I think at this point, there's 2 possibilities. Either the roads and bridges call for a vote and fails, or maybe it doesn't really get called for a vote. There's one article that suggests maybe Pelosi doesn't want to see a loss. She'd rather just say, you know what, we'll hold it over because we don't have enough necessary votes. It's a difference of messaging. I think that the messaging for us is that, one, if the roads and bridges passes, fine. If it doesn't pass, either because they didn't vote on it or they voted on it and it failed, it's a massive win for the recon. Now let's cut back to some third stimulus for just a second and then some final messages about what's happening later today. Third stimulus had that additional $13 billion cash infusion from Treasury, which is huge. So I want you to get this rent, utilities, mortgage assistance right now. Get a cell phone, pen, and paper ready. We're going to go over all the incredible details starting right now. Let's turn to the money for rent, which has gone up 200%. Utilities has gone up 3%. And the money for SNAP, which has gone up 400% for viewers of this channel, because now you're doing better than ever before. This is a month ago. Mark got $51,000. But what were people getting for rent a month ago? They were getting this. You even see Mark on the list. He got $25,000. Now viewers are getting $40,000 for rent from this channel. I want you to be that person. Then for utilities, people are getting now $15,000 for utilities, like Mark's brother-in-law, a 300% increase in less than a month. Then SNAP has gone to $21,000 in just 30 days, a 400% increase on that. So get that pen, paper, cell phone ready. I can go over all the details right now. You're going to reach out to 6 places. They have different eligibility. They have different pots of money. Number 2, I want you to listen to the keywords I say in the video. And 3, listen for the nonprofits. All right, here are the places you're going to reach out to. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, State House Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. There you go. Now, I want you to reach out to all your utility companies. So if you have 5, reach out to all 5. Then finally, the nonprofits. Want a new refrigerator? 2 viewers of this channel have gotten new refrigerators from the nonprofits in the last 7 days. Who are the nonprofits? Here are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. It's important to understand that the nonprofits detailed in this channel in fall 2020, early 2021, got viewers fortunes. And I wasn't sure if they still were, but boy, are they ever. A viewer got his money for rent from St. Vincent de Paul funded within 24 hours. Another, the same success story from United Way. The nonprofits pay for money for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, but they also do it with different eligibility than the federal government. And then they pay for monies for items that you don't get from the federal government, like clothing and sometimes small appliances. So reach out to them. Those 5 nonprofits are United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. Next SNAP, 1 day away to October, and the SNAP benefits are going up. Lifetime, an average of 25% lifetime. It's huge. So if you were at 21,000 like Mark's brother-in-law, you're going to 26,000. There were 2 letters. Remember the 2 letters? The first one saying your benefits are going down in September. Well, the second letter is coming. Says your benefits are going up in October, an average of 25% lifetime. Then those unemployment benefits, 2 of them. First, the refund check back from your state due to overpayment of unemployment benefits and computer error. That's coming. Reach out to your state for it. Average payment is about $2,000 to $5,000. And then the refund check from IRS for the taxes you paid on unemployment benefits. Average payment is $1,200 to $2,000. Margaret got it, Todd got it, Michael got it. If you got in any sums of money from this channel, post in the live chat. Finally, if you haven't become a member, please do. The member link is under the video. Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. Daily, you're delivered as a member a newsletter from me to you at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. It features all the big money that's available for you to get under first, second, and third stimulus. It features the nonprofits, listing them one at a time. It features the Treasury letter that I want you to have before calling up the local city and counties. I want you to look at that Treasury letter so you know what it is. Ask to be on the waiting list or call back the next day. Here's what I want you to promise yourself. I want you to get this money as far as you can into 2022. If you've already gotten some money, I want you to get more. That's Lorraine did. Lorraine, remember, she got $105,000 from this channel? She got more money yesterday. Can you imagine? She's approaching $110,000. I want you to get as much money as you can because a lot of these items may not be continued under for stimulus, like rent. Second, I want you to lean on the nonprofits because it's still relatively warm outside. It's not winter yet. It's early fall. And the nonprofits are not getting a lot of calls at the moment, so they can process your money right away. Don't wait to November. Don't wait to December. Finally, let's cut back to the big exciting details as we go into the final minutes of this extended noontime broadcast with everything you need to know about your recon. 1. Passed on a Saturday night. Your $3.5 trillion recon passed with 3 clusters of checks. Checks for seniors, workers, individuals, hazard pay, lots of deliciousness all across the board. As soon as it becomes law, I will be here to help you get every single item in that recon. Number 2, that Saturday night, Nancy Pelosi and the president both said it's not a bill. It's just a work in progress. You want to add more stuff in there? Tell me. And guess who has told them? Half a dozen senators and House members have told 1,000 viewers of this channel they're inserting a provision for an IRS stimulus check. After you've advocated to them, they've said yes. Whether it's on the Senate or the House side, whether it's AOC Omar or Jalapal, your advocacy has worked, but you need to continue to advocate because it's a work in progress, whether it's Ron Whiting adding in extension of unemployment benefits or the House. 2 ways to add things in. On the House side, or to add it in doing a vote-a-rama when it lands in the Senate. You want it to start on the House side because it's easier. Get it added. Make that advocacy today. Number 3, the debt ceiling limit, done. Passed in the Senate before the time of this recording, passed in the House in just about a few minutes from now, done for a few weeks, as predicted on this channel last night. And told you first when details were coming in very positive on Evenings LA. Finally, the roads and bridges, the infrastructure, the bipartisan, will go for a vote. Will it pass? How will it not pass? If it doesn't pass, what is the voting count? What did the progressives say after the events of what happens today? We got a full day still coming up, and Evenings LA will have the latest update on the roads and bridges vote, which has not yet happened at the time of this recording, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So join me next on Afternoons LA at 1 o'clock. This video will automatically take you there. Then we go into a big new Afternoons LA at 3 p.m. taped minutes ago. And then we go into Evenings LA, which is about to be taped within the hour. And with that, I want you part of this incredible family. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the Purple Patrol. And keep on advocating. As one guy said, and this is the number one House Democrat there is after Pelosi and Steny Hoyer, he said the following, that when we're looking at this legislation, it's important to understand that we have two bodies of law. His name, Hakeem Jeffries. He's the House Democratic Caucus leader. And he says we have two important bodies of legislation to pass, the RECON, the bipartisan, and they need to get both over the finish line. Could he be wearing a purple shirt when he says my line? I think he should. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video. Don't miss a video throughout the day because the news cycle is changing on the hour. Don't miss any video today. Consider becoming a member. The link is under the video. Don't forget to sign up for those LA alerts, totally free. And stay informed, stay focused. This video will take you to Afternoons LA starting at 1 o'clock. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling, and stay with LA for more.